I want to touch a little bit what commercial means for me. Now, what do you see there? This is the participant bit. The brain of a CEO. And what else do you see? A mess. Yep. Too much going on. Busy. Anything else? Multi-dimensional. And what would you say? Low percentages. But the underlying is a lot of numbers there. So for me, I like that slide because that's what your ultimate boss, whether it's private sector, non-for-profit, whatever, that's some of the challenges they're having to deal with. Multidisciplinary, which is a great word. They have got a stack of stuff. So do they really want to know, how many people were off sick yesterday? Do they really want to know, the basics? What is the things that we're doing that are making a difference to some of the challenges and issues that are going on in that individual's head? If you were setting up your own commercial business, what would you really want to know? So, it's about performance, customers, operations, your employees, and your brand, okay? So, as far as I'm concerned, that's what every HR function should be thinking of. How are we performing? What do our customers think about what we do? Do we know what's going on externally? Are we thinking in that way? How efficient are we? We've focused a lot on efficiency within the HR world. Are we any more efficient than we were 10 years ago? I'm still not convinced. And obviously the employees that we're working with, whatever. So my challenge is, that's the HR agenda. But HR is perceived to be a cost center. I think it's a profit center. You can only get at so many costs for so long. You've taken all the low-hanging fruit, you've taken all the easy stuff, it gets more harder. But if you're looking at things which are different, in a private sector, it's about profitability, about growth, sales, income. But even in the public sector, not-for-profit, productivity is a critical part. How can we get things to be done in a quicker added value way? So we're all thinking in the same sort of outcome, but it's a different outcome to the ones that I think we're thinking of. For me, this is just a snapshot about some of the stuff that you guys are doing. And it's bloody complicated, okay? HR's got a really tough job. There are so many things. You just look at one of those things, and there's a huge amount that's associated with it. So we've got a tough job. That doesn't mean that, we should just say, we've got a tough job, it's really hard. But the key for me is, with all of that stuff, where should we invest our money to get the best return? And I don't care which sector you come from, that is the critical question I think HR's got to think of as we look to the future. And when I think of that, I'm then thinking about, if we're investing our money, we're now starting to think about, what does that mean from a commercial point of view? This is probably the best report I've seen on the area of commercial acumen, which was written by CRF. It's about 3 or 4 years old. I read it last week and I thought, still pretty spot on. But it talks, in essence, about commercial acumen as the set of characteristics that enables individuals to deliver excellent performance for a business, be it revenue, productivity, cash generation, shareholder value. And it goes on to then say, there are 3 things we need to think about to be commercial. What drives profitability and cash flow? Or what drives our cost base? What are the things we need to think about and to do differently? People mentioned earlier about the sector and the marketplace. What's happening in the external world? Back to my European Commission, they were all like, oh yeah, but this is so advanced, Dave, we don't do that. And I'm saying, that's your problem. Because your people that you're competing with are people who are looking for the same talent as you. So you've got to get your act together, because if you don't, they're going to take the talent. And you're telling me that talent retention and talent attraction is an issue. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, you need to think about what your competitors are doing in the talent space. Because lots of people are doing some sexy stuff, supposedly. Lots of people are doing different things in a way of trying to attract. But obviously, you need to know about your organization. And that's absolutely right. What's the strategy, what's happening and all that stuff. But commercial is just not about knowing your organization. It's about these other things. My perspective is it's about, you know, I mentioned earlier, analytics is an important discipline. But there was a terrible article that came out this week that was saying, it was called something about the career, what's the career for for an analytics person in HR? And I'm like, what do you mean? As if HR analytics, people analytics, is the be all and end all. And it is not. It's a part of the HR journey and opportunities that are available. So, you know, I think we've made a lot of noise about analytics, but it's incredibly important as a discipline, and I run workshops and talk about it a lot, but we need to put it into context. It's part of the things we need to do. Because if we find out some stuff from some data, it can actually mean we can do some better things. It means we can drive possibly better outcomes. And then that makes a real difference to profit margins and return on assets. And don't tell me that your ultimate customers are not interested in any of that, because that's their world. They don't want to hear HR speak. They want to hear us talking in the language that they are familiar with, which is my CEO's brain full of numbers. Because without data, we have only opinions. The trust me, I'm an HR consultant doesn't work anymore. We need to think differently.